engagements. So we have to begin so that he can deliver his statement and take few questions and then depart. Meanwhile, Dr. Ismaila Sise would update us on certain significant developments that have been unfolding in this country in the past week or so. So to proceed, I would invite Dr. Sise to come and unveil those reports, and then thereafter, Honorable Baji would also take the floor. Thank you, and welcome to this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Spokesperson, Mr. Sankare. Good morning, members of the press. Good morning, Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Bakari Baji, Deputy Spokesperson, Mr. Sankano, senior government officials, Deputy Permanent Secretaries, PSCs that are also present here today. And good morning to every Gambian, wherever you are, whether you are in the Gambia or outside of the Gambia. Before the press conference starts, I'd like to give updates from the government of the Gambia. The first update is coming from the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. Now, the ministry wishes to inform the public that there is enough cement in the country. I repeat, they want to inform the public that there is enough cement in the country, far more than the national demand requires. That as of today, or yesterday, the 4th of June 2024, the 3 companies that produce or bag cement in the Gambia, that is Gasem, Jar Multi Industries, and Salam, have the following amount in stock. For Jar Multi Industries, otherwise known as Jar Cement, currently they have 19,000 metric tons of cement in stock. By mid-June, they will increase this volume to 29,000 metric tons. And by the end of June, they will further increase this stock to 36,660 metric tons. And in the first week of July, they will have 39,000 metric tons. Now, for Gasem Limited, they currently have 6,500 metric tons of cement in stock. And by the 15th of June, they will have 15,000 metric tons of cement in stock. Salam currently has 70,200 metric tons in stock. Furthermore, the ministry also wants to inform the public and retailers of cement, in particular the wholesale price of cement by local factories have not changed since the introduction of the measure, which the policy which was introduced to pay 180 in tax at the border. That the wholesale price of 42.5 R of cement at Jar Multi Industries remains at $335 per 50 kilogram bag, and for Gasem is $388 per 50 kilogram bag for the 42.5 R cement. And the wholesale price of 32.5 R of cement from Salam is $330 per bag. The ministry wishes to reiterate that the quality of local cement is consistent with international standards. The ministry therefore calls on all importers, distributors and retailers, as well as all other stakeholders, to directly contact the factories and take advantage of the opportunities created by the cement value chain to support their business and livelihoods. The ministry also further wishes to inform the public that yesterday the ministry had a meeting with the Cement Importers Association. The cement importers are those who import cement from Senegal, and currently their trucks are stranded at the border. They had a meeting yesterday with the ministry and the minister, and they are meeting today. And the ministry wishes to inform you that they are hopeful that there will be a favorable outcome from that meeting, which will inform the Gambian public either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. But they wish to confirm that the meeting was very successful and there will be a very favorable outcome, favorable to both the Gambian government, the cement importers, and the Gambian population at large. The second press release has to do with the deployment of governors and DPSs. A press release came from the Office of the President through the Office of the Spokesperson that governors have been redeployed as DPSs in certain ministries and DPSs deployed as governors. This is in line with government's commitment to ensure efficiency and service delivery at the decentralized structures. This, it is hoped, that will inject expertise and experience at both directions, that the governors with their experience at the local level dealing with local communities will bring the much needed expertise and experience at the policy making level, but also DPSs with their technical experience will take policy and decision making experience and expertise to the decentralized level, but also in line with government's commitment to ensure gender parity. This also goes to fulfill that commitment. That is why the governors that were redeployed or deployed, 3 of them are women. Now, the other update is from the Office of the President. The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, commends Gambians and friends of the Gambia on the successful hosting of the 15th OIC Summit in Banjul. His Excellency President Barrow commends and congratulates all Gambians, residents, and our friendly nations for the successful hosting of the 15th OIC Summit in the Gambia from the 4th to the 5th of May 2024. The President extends his heartfelt appreciation to the OIC Secretariat, the security institutions, the National Environment Agency, National Disaster Management Agency, municipal councils, and other stakeholders, including the press and the media, for their professionalism, commitment, and outstanding performance before, during, and after the summit. As the chairperson of the OIC for the next 3 years, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, reaffirms his commitment to steering the organization in the right direction while projecting the Gambia's global image as a champion of democracy, a beacon of good governance, and respecter and defender of the rule of law. The impressive social and infrastructural developments across the country in preparation for the summit will serve as an enduring legacy of His Excellency's National Urua Program. President Barrow, therefore, extends sincere gratitude to all Gambians for their demonstrated loyalty and tremendous support, reflective of their true sense of patriotism. He urges all Gambians to maintain peaceful coexistence and unity under the one Gambian flag for the continuous development of our dear nation. The release ends. The final update has to do with the President's tour. If you have been following the news recently, the President embarked on a nationwide tour where he did 2 things, or 3 perhaps. One is to take stock of Gambia's local industries. We all know that there's a global living crisis, inflation. Inflation is a global problem. Now, the only solution to this is to ensure we build our local industries and rely less on importing the goods and the services we need in this country. The President, in his drive to industrialize this nation, took stock of the industries in this country. He visited agro farms to understand the agro value chain, the onion farms, the potato farms, the water bottling farms, and the drinks bottling farms, and other factories and industries in this country, both in rural and urban Gambia, to understand what they are doing, how they are doing, and also how they can work with government to support them to ensure that we ensure food self-sufficiency. During the tour, the President also inaugurated 5 well-equipped, state-of-the-art health centers in rural Gambia, in Kiang, Jali, in Basse, Tumanna, and Mankamankunda, in Jokadu, and in Badibu, Salikenya. These health care centers are to serve rural communities to ensure they have access to quality and dignified health care, particularly for women and children. State-of-the-art, well-equipped, dignified health care centers to serve rural communities. Also in line to promote education, because the President believes that education is the bedrock of development, he also inaugurated some very important classrooms and computer labs in rural Gambia. In Koidu, amongst others, in Tumanna, in Numuyel, and other places across the country. The government thanks MRC Holland Foundation for the support and their partnership with government for making this possible. A lot of classrooms were inaugurated in our drive to ensure that education is accessible to every Gambian, no matter where you are born in this country. And this is in line with government's national development plan to ensure that every Gambian has access to quality education, no matter where you are in this country. These are the updates from government, and I thank you all for coming to this very important press conference. I'll hand over to the government spokesperson who will chair the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sise, for that lucid explanation of major developments in the past weeks. Without wasting much time, I now call on the Minister of Youth and Sport, Ms. Honorable Baji, to take us through some major developments taking place within his ministry. I think he'll be covering the renovation works going on at the Independent Stadium, maybe the new coach, and related issues. Thank you. Welcome, Minister. Thank you.
Good morning. You didn't have breakfast today, right? Unfortunately, the jailers didn't bring breakfast for the serious and the fullest. But good morning to the Honorable Minister of Information, Honorable Dr. Ismail Sise, and good morning to the government spokesperson and presidential advisor on diaspora, Mr. Ibrahim Sankare, to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ndemari Jai, and the Executive Directors and General Managers, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Admin and Finance, Mr. Kamara, and all of you that are here from both the Ministry of Information and the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I'm probably the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Lands if they're here, and to our friends from the media, the journalists and all the reporters that are present here. Well, we're glad to be invited to this very important press briefing at the invitation of the Minister of Information and by extension the Ministry to give an update on activities that are ongoing at the Ministry of Youth and Sports level. To start with, we all know that the Ministry of Youth and Sports is given the mandate to coordinate all youth and sports-related matters of the government. And by so doing, we place emphasis on our mission and our goals as a ministry. But more so, our emphasis at the moment is placed on the National Development Program, the NDP, 2023 to 2027. In the recent times, the ministry commissioned and reviewed our legislative framework and policies while effectively and efficiently coordinating youth and sport programs and activities across the country through the ministry itself and sometimes through the satellite institutions whose general managers and directors are present here. To start with, we look at the legislative framework. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, having recognized the fact that in order to be able to do our work better, we need to look at our legal framework, decided to engage a consultant to develop and review certain acts of the ministry, as well as promulgate some bills. Key among them is the revision of the NEDI Act of 2014, the NYSS Act of 2015, as well as two new bills that have been developed, which is the National Youth Act and the National Sports Act. These two acts, if passed, will repeal the National Sport Council Act and the National Youth Council Act. The reason for this is because the name sounds, the two previous acts of 2000 were meant to establish two institutions, the National Youth Council and the National Sport Council. However, it does not give the mandates of those two institutions in terms of their ability to regulate and manage sports or youth matters. The acts have already been developed and are currently at the Ministry of Justice for legal advice before it will be submitted to the Cabinet for adoption and eventually to the National Assembly for passing. Additionally, the Sport Council was operating under a national sport policy of 2010 to 2019. This sport policy expired some 5 years ago or 4 years ago, and we are currently developing a new national sport policy through the support of the Commonwealth Secretariat, who provided technical assistance and hired a consultant from South Africa to develop the Gambia's new national sport policy. And the policy would be from 2014 to, 2024 to 2029. In other areas, the ministry has already handed over certain sports infrastructure, partially completed the Kafuta one, but fully completed the Buyam, Julafar in Kiang, Janjambre in CRR, and Sandu in Yoarar. These facilities were in February of 2024 handed over to the sports committees of these regions, of these districts. All of you might be aware of our recent participation in the AFCON 2023, where Gambia qualified for the second time under this government and under our leadership as people leading the ministry at the moment. And the government invested $200 million to finance the participation of the team. Well, that is the total budget. It doesn't mean that's what we spent. I'm just saying what was given. Currently, the national team is back into the qualifiers for the World Cup with a match that is coming up on the 8th between Gambia and Seychelles and on the 12th between Gambia and Gabon. The state of the stadium does not allow us to play in the Gambia, and so the match between Gambia and Seychelles, which is a home match, is being played in Morocco, and the one with Gabon will be played in Franceville. The government funded these two matches at a total of $22 million. Our other projects include the GSI, which is the agroforestry training program that the ministry conducts in Chamen, North Bank region, where we, in February, graduated 70 young people, 42 women and 30 men, who were trained on agriculture for a period of 12 months. Upon the graduation of these 72, the ministry recruited another 50 who are currently undergoing the training. And this is a 12-month training, residential for that matter, and the ministry takes care of all the costs relating to their accommodation for 12 months, pays their medical bills, their feeding, and give us a stipend of $1,000 per month. This is meant to empower our young people who are interested in furthering their skills and knowledge on agriculture with the plan to take up agriculture as a career. On the side of the NYSS, the ministry in August of 2023 launched for the first time the National Youth Service Graduate Program with a total number of 100 young people who are university graduates and were not employed. The program was launched here by His Excellency, President Adama Barrow, and it is meant to give young people or young graduates the opportunity to undergo a 12-month training or job placement training, and they're paid a stipend of $5,000 per month for the period of 12 months. The ministry funds this program with the support, or 50% support, of the UNDP. This year, we would be graduating a total number of 300 young people. 150 are those who were part of the apprenticeship training program, and another 150 were part of the regular batch. All of these were funded through the by the ministry through NYSS, and they were in different institutions for a period of 2 years to study different skills. And at every time they undergoing this training, the ministry does not just pay the tuition, but also pays their stipend. This year, we will be recruiting 200 young people across the country to undergo the regular program, a recruitment which starts in July, and the training program starts in September for another period of 2 years. NEDI, which is one of the institutions of the ministry, has been engaging different young people and providing capacity building training. Key among them is those who are returnees, or the illegal migration or irregular migration, like some people call it, to train them on different skills, on entrepreneurship, on bookkeeping, and on business management. And upon their completion of their training, NEDI, with the support of IOM, gives those who qualify a certain grant to start up a business or to strengthen their existing business. Through the ministry's support, NEDI will, in the next 1 week, or in the next few days, I might put it that way, will be giving out a total of $1.5 million to young people who have qualified to be giving a grant to initiate, to start their business or to expand their existing businesses. This is supported through the ministry's Youth Entrepreneurship Fund, which is meant to support young people in business who otherwise would not have had the capital to expand their business or to start a new business. No, even if they do, they have to go to the bank to take loans whose conditions they would not be able to meet. The the PIA, the President Award Scheme, which formerly was called the Award Scheme and now called the President International Award, had done in recent times have graduated a number of 1,600 young people across the country who have completed the goal program and have gone through the normal recruitment and the training processes and community volunteer activities and their coursework to be able to qualify for the Gold Award. This year, we would continue to support these young people across all the countries through our school-based program, as well as our skill training center in Bakau. The center currently runs different skills training in tailoring, in carpentry, in mason, in welding, and in fabrication. Though this happens at a fee, but it's a very minimal fee that is meant to support young people from needy families. Lastly, we will look at the NSC, which virtually runs a lot of the youth programs, especially in the sports sector. And we all know about the Gambia's recent participation in the African Games in Ghana, where government supported at a budget of $36 million, and we were able to take 8 disciplines to participate in the event in Accra. And this is a record number, as the Gambia has not registered this amount of participants in any international competitions. We are currently preparing the team that qualified for the Olympics, which is taking place in Paris, France, from July 26 to August 12. And the NSC is collaborating with the GNOC, with the Gambian National Olympics Committee, to prepare the team. The ministry has already allocated $7 million to support the participation of the Gambia in the Olympics of 2024. Lastly, we'll look at the stadium. And as you all know, the renovation is ongoing, and we're hoping that the second phase, which is supposed to give us the requirement for CAF, will be completed by the end of July, and we will be able to bring our matches back home. The Gambia government have signed the international coach for the Scorpions about 2 weeks ago, and government, through the GFF, recruited the coach, and will be paying his salary for the next 2 years. The coach is tasked, among other things, to recruit a strong or formidable national team, as well as to provide technical support for the Gambian local coaches, as well as to qualify Gambia for the 2025 African Cup of Nations. These are some of the deliverables that have been agreed between us and the coach, and we hope that as he starts his task with the coming match with Seychelles, he'll be able to deliver those goods. So ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the updates that we have. Well, maybe let me add that recently also we have supported different associations. And I will just take this opportunity to just go through them. One is the Gambia Handball Association that just returned from Mauritania to participate in the 2024 Zone 2 Championship. The ministry supported the Handball Association with $2 million. And we've also recently, we've given $1.5 million to the Gambia Paralympic Committee, who would also be participating in the 2024 Paralympics in Paris, which is coming right after the Olympics. The Gambia Judo Association was also supported with $622,500 for the participation in the World Championship Seniors in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. And this is taking place from June 19 to 24. A group of young people also recently returned from Ghana who participated in the 2024 Yali cohort, and the ministry supported with $195,000. And our Gambia male volleyball team would be participating in the Olympics qualifiers as well as the World Pro Tour in China from June 6 to 8, as well as June 18 to 24th. And the ministry supported with a cash amount of $1,752,300. So these are some of the recent supports that we gave to different associations and different sporting disciplines as we all work towards ensuring that sport is supported in the country as well as youth affairs. So, Doctor, these are some of the updates we would want to share with the public. And if there are questions, I guess, I don't know what the format is going to be.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for those updates. If you have questions for the ministers, I would suggest, since Honorable Baji will be leaving us shortly, that we begin with him, and after he exits, then Honorable Cisse can begin to take questions. So we will entertain maybe four questions, and then yes, you raise your hand, you identify yourself and the media that you represent, or the medium that you represent, and then you'll be asked to pose a question, and then you give chance to others to also come with their questions. Yes, so, yes, sir. You have something? Yeah, absolutely, yeah, so.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Isaac Taylor. Very much appreciate this press briefing, and also want to take the opportunity to thank the government for the recent Mansakunda initiative. We really appreciate that. Yeah. So my question is regarding the MEDI initiative, where you highlighted that about over $1 million will be given shortly to businesses. It would be to young businesses. It would be very useful to know how many young businesses are targeted, since you say it's about in a week's time that they might receive this. How many young businesses will this be supporting? And if I could ask another question, sir? One more question?
Let him handle that first, and we will see. How many people have questions? Because it's not the time, because he has another appointment, so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So there is a process when it comes to the NEDI grant and the loan. The grant is administered at our level at NEDI, and there is an application that young people who have gone through the training, because one must have completed the 5 days training, all these trainings that NEDI is doing, and at the last day they can apply, and they have a shortlist committee that looks at the numbers and shortlist. So currently, I mean, as usual, you would have more than 100 people that will apply, higher than that. But based on funding, we are giving 23 young people. The Neri general manager is here. Okay, said 29. You have a date yet? Tuesday. Okay, so next Tuesday. So 29 young people out of the lot that applied. But that, this is for this year. Last year, we gave a similar number, and the 2021, 33 for last year. So every year we do these presentations, and like I said, it's a startup. But then there is the loan scheme, which because of fiduciary responsibilities, we are working with SDF. It's our fund, but managed at SDF. And if you do well with the grant, and then after a year or two, you can then qualify to apply for the loan, which is they're supposed to pay through the SDF with a 6% interest. So, yeah, but for this year, it's 23.
Thank you very much.
Identify yourself and the institution that you represent.
The Gambia, you said, is supported team with a lot of millions, like national team. Recently, it's for 200 million. So, you know, since it's taxpayers' money, people have been asking for audit. They have been directing it at the DFM. So now that you have actually told us how much is being invested in the team, would there be audit and there be accountability in terms of how the money is spent? And secondly, how much is the Gambian coach paid?
Okay, so like I said, you all that followed, or let me say, some of you that followed AFCON knew the budget for AFCON was submitted by the Federation was $388 million. That was in anticipation that when we get into the AFCON, we will go all the way to the finals. Essentially, we didn't raise that. What we raised is what government gave is the 200 million. We raised a little bit from the private sector. Altogether, there was a total amount of $211 million that was raised. And I said when I made this remark that doesn't mean that what was spent. What was spent at the end was, and maybe don't quote me on this one because I don't have the exact figure here, but I know it was about 109 million, 110 million. That was what was spent. Now, government regulations, if you give you money, you don't spend it, you return it. And we've done that through finance and reporting. The report will come from the committee, but the audit is something different. Audit don't happen 2-3 months after an event. It takes a period before it happens, and I'm sure when the audit is done, the report will be shared as expected. But on the NCC part, they have got the report, and they would do the press briefing to report on those expenditures. The coach salary. No, the Gambian culture is we don't disclose his salary, right? You don't disclose our salary. Government is paying. The Ministry of Youth and Sports is paying the coach salary. But those are contractual issues, and we are not at liberty to say it here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Honorable Minister. My name is J.J. Robinson. I represent Mbono Association. Please, with information from the Ministry of Information and the Speaker and yourself, the spokesperson, and yourself, the Minister, you have mentioned a lot about education in all your speeches, and agricultural fund, stipend, and the NYSS stipend as well. This results or revolves with education. Is there a way the ministry involves all this through the primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, so that this lifelong skill for life that you have introduced to this after school graduate or non-graduate, is there a way that we can track them through the nursery, primary, tertiary, and then university until their NYSS period? Thank you.
I'm not sure what the question is, but no, it's fine. Let me just try to answer it from what I understand. Yes, we do. we do tracer studies. So for instance, those that graduated from the GSI in the previous years, we've done a tracer study to understand where they are. You know, if they are employed, if they have opened their own businesses, and yes, we have that report. Now, NYSS, there was a tracer study that was done. I was not minister then, but there was a tracer study that was done previously to know where these young people are. But of course, yes, we understand that some of them that graduate would get employed. Some of them would open their own businesses. But there are some of them that will probably flop back to what they were doing. You know, so those are the things. But we have a higher success rate than otherwise. And the figures are there. Some of them are employed by WHO. Others are employed by private firms. And others have gone on to open their own workplaces, and they're doing well. 2, 3 is fine. In the next 10, 15. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Follow.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Edward Francis Lania, I report of Ghana. Considering the improvement made on the stadium, many of us are focused on the stadium, but forgetting that there are mini stadiums. So I want the minister to update us on the works that have been done on the mini stadiums, because going through the mini stadiums, we can see that they are horrible. So please, can you update us?
Which ones?
Manyai, Serakuta West, Banju.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah, I just wanted you to be clear. Now, let's say this. You see, there is always this misunderstanding about who owns what and who is responsible for what. Everywhere you go in the world, municipal councils are the ones who are responsible for the management of municipal sport infrastructure in general. In fact, they are the ones responsible for the construction of municipal sport infrastructure. A government is responsible for construction of national infrastructure. Now here, and that is now your responsibility to go there and task the leaders, the local leaders, to ask them what are they doing to support sports in the regions or in the municipalities. Because these ones that you just mentioned, they are not under the Ministry of Youth and Sports. These are structures that belong to the councils. And the previous years, previous decades, the municipal council constructed it, because KMC then, in the early 2000s, constructed Serekunda West, Serekunda East, Manjai, and Bakau. So the upkeep and all of that is not a ministry responsibility. In fact, we have no role whatsoever in the management of those the ones you just mentioned. However, understanding the challenges, that is why government, as a central government, comes to the local level to construct these fields. And that's why we did one in Buyam, we did one in Kafuta, we did one in Janjambure, we did one in Sandu, just to ensure that young people in this region have something that they can use. I think that answers the question. Yes, sorry. In Kiang Manduar. That's why we did the one in Kiang Manduar. All right? And currently we are doing one right here in Kiang at Mboyo Field, which is at Bakote, which is going to be not just a football field, but a standard mini stadium that has a football pitch with grass, it has a pavilion, it has a basketball, volleyball, and handball lawn. And it's going to come with lights and everything that one needs. And that is right here in Bakote. Thank you, Honorable, for that reminder.
The Honorable Minister is willing to take 3 more questions. If you don't have first question here, you're going to have him have a follow-up. No other question? Yes, you can have a follow-up.
Thank you so much for being very magnanimous today.
No, there is a reason why I'm here. No, hold on. Let me just be very clear. There is a reason why I'm here. Is to organize and coordinate. And if you are chairing a program, you are responsible for the program. So I know the information officer is your friend, but I coordinate and I take charge. Okay? So and we have to be very democratic. That's what you fight for every day. You cannot ask 2 questions when your colleagues have a question pending. So you can go ahead.
Thank you. That's why I'm thanking you for being very magnanimous. So Mr. Taylor for Ghana. So my question is regarding the stadium.
2 questions, Ghana.
Yes, we have many questions. We have even more, but we will just, these ones are okay. Honorable Minister,
Yes.
you've spoken about the stadium, and now we are looking at sometime in July, right?
Yes.
It will be almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what has caused this delay that is taking so long? It's almost 2 years now. That's the first point. And then secondly, can you reassure us that this time July for sure will be July for sure? Over 100 million was spent at one point. We don't even know how much was spent. Maybe you can throw that in there to tell us how much has been spent in the stadium so far, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. Well, okay, let me say this about the timing. When we speak as ministers, we are speaking based on technical information that is given to us, because you all know that we don't get on the ground and do the job. But there is a committee, there's a technical committee responsible for stadium in general. There is a ministry responsible for the supervision of the work, and that is the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure. The Ministry of Youth and Sports is more and more of a beneficiary, because we are not doing the estimates, we are not supervising the work, we are not providing the money. So we are right there in the middle. Ministry of Works tells us that this is how much you need to do what you want to do. And we take that to the sports committee, the sports cabinet subcommittee on youth and sports. It gets to cabinet approves, and the Ministry of Finance then looks for the money and gives us. We only operate when we are given the funds. If we are not given the funds, we cannot move. So I want that to be clear. Secondly, the timelines. This is what the Minister of Work said. You need 6 months to be able to do the job. The contractors will bid, and they're giving a contract based on that arrangement. However, if you delay your payment, they add the months that you have delayed the payment to the end of the contract. Sometimes also they receive the money, but they order these things, materials from China, from Turkey, shipments and other things get delayed. These are the reasons why contracts get delayed. So whenever I say 6 months, I am speaking based on what is on the paper. But everybody who works in construction in general terms, even I'm sure if you're building your house, the contractor will tell you we can do it in 6 months and they end up doing it in 1 year. So these are the things. But by and large, the delays were primarily based on one, not accessing the funds on time. Secondly, the delays in the shipment by the contractors. And anytime they delay, they let us know, and then they'll have an extension to the contract. There was a gap in the first 6 months and what we're doing now, and that was because the president himself said it when he went to the stadium. These are things that were never budgeted for. And so if you tell government that you need to give 100 million when there was no 100 million in the budget, and you already gone past your budget, it has gone to the National Assembly, approved, and now something comes up that was never anticipated. You have to go around to look for the funds. And this was the reason why the work was delayed. But eventually we were able to start, and now we are assured that all the funds are in, at least for the second phase, and the contractors, and that's why I said, on paper, we expected that the work will finish by the end of August. And we don't anticipate any delay, because as of yesterday, they were within schedule.
End of August or July?
Sorry, end of July. Yes, end of July. Now, total amount. The first job, the first phase, was about $153 million. And the second part, so total, we spent, we'll be spending $283 million for the renovation of both the first phase and the second phase. And let me add that there is supposed to be a third phase, which is supposed to be the tracks and the floodlights. And those are taken out from the job because the cost estimate we receive is too huge and we cannot carry all of this at the same time. Yeah. Okay, so I was advised by the government spokesperson and advisor to President about the NEDI, that it would be important to say what NEDI means. It's National Enterprise Development Initiative. And sometimes somebody would ask, is NEDI part of the ministry? Yes, it is an institution under the ministry, just like how we have the award scheme, or PIA, NYSS, NYC, and NSC. And of course, Stadium. Yes.
That's it.
Please, I'm sorry.
You have a follow-up?
Follow-up of my question.
Okay.
On the education
You have a question?
Yes, no, I was just going to check, I'm sure everyone can hear my voice. Just right now a sports journalist posted that on Coffee Time there is allegation of sexual abuse at the Gambia Football Federation. I was just checking it. I don't know if the minister is aware of this. Have you been briefed about it? It's a breaking news that just came in by one Sonko, a sports journalist.
Sexual harassment at the JFF, like in the JFF office, or?
Allegations of sexual abuse at the Gambia Football Federation.
No, I'm not aware of it. I've never been told about it. But yes, so, I mean, when we are told about it, when we get the information, we will do the right thing. But for now, we've not been told about it. But of course, there is definitely zero tolerance for sexual abuse in the sports sector, in general terms. In every sector, yes. Yes.
One more question for the minister, because he has to leave. Yeah, you can do that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and be very brief, please.
All right, please. Yeah. I mentioned before, like I said, this national enterprise development, are they instituted in the local regions? I come from Tujaring, and we don't have any kind of all these things you have been saying. We don't receive any deliverables and all that. We institute and create our own everything, kind of. And if you know very well, Mbola Association has done this. Yeah. And of course, we have been favored by the government and private institutions and funders. But for us, we are very well okay. I will say this, because if you know the foundation of where we come from, what about other villages that does not have access to the ministries and all that? Right now we are here, very nice, and what about people from other places? How can they be part of everything that we are getting? We are getting this truly. How can we shift it over to other local places like Tujaring and the villages around? Thank you.
Thank you. No, there is an office, NEDI office, which is located in Carnifin, just behind the Red Cross headquarters, and primarily it was operating from there. But this is an institution of the ministry, like I said, and the ministry is present in every region. If you go to the governor's office in West Coast and in all the regions, the ministry has an office and permanent staff, a sports coordinator, a youth coordinator, and assistant. And these individuals operate on behalf of the ministry as well as the institutions under the ministry. And recently, in February, we opened 2 offices for NEDI, one in Soma and another one in Basse. And these are the offices that are supposed to cover the provincial areas. So we cannot be in every village, but at least we are in the headquarters of the region. Like, for instance, in West Coast, we're in Brikama, and you can always access our services through the governor's office. Yes, and also there's district youth committees. So the committees are for sport and for youth. And if you cannot get to Brikama, for instance, you can get in touch with the chairperson of the youth committee or the chairperson of the sport committee of your district, and they can be able to link you with this institute. And of course, when we do trainings, these young people come from all over the country. Because when you look at, for instance, one aspect of our training is the migration aspect. Those young people who try to embark on this irregular migration, they are all over the country. And when we train them, we are not looking at where they come. Of course, we will always consider gender and the regional dimension, but the village is not the issue, and they come all over the place. And then also when they apply for the loan, there is that consideration. Just like NYSS, there is a number that is given per region. So if you say we are recruiting 200, you know that, for instance, West Coast is a bigger region, they have a higher number. And then KM and LRR and Sierra, that's how it happens. So there is a decentralization of our programs. All right. Okay. So you hear that.
Thanks very much.
All right. Okay. I guess that will be the last thing. I wish I can stay with you, but I have a meeting at 1 o'clock. So thank you so much, guys. Oh, yeah.
I think you guys can come forward. I think you can come forward.
Now you guys can come up.
Come forward, those who have nowhere to get a seat. It will be a long one. Be seated, please.
Sakedi then this. Well. Hey, lady, your phone has. Can you come and fix it?
Mr. Lawyer, sit down.
See whether it works. You just left and then it's.
Then you stand there. Yeah, we will stand.
What the feeling? Well, I'm going to go out. Shall we start now or restart? We recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Lands, the Honorable Ahmad Ngagne Kubaba, who is assisted by his permanent secretary, my sister, Madam Safi Sankare. We have a bunch of senior government officials here, Deputy Permanent Secretary Tal, directors, DPS Manyang, Director of Information Services, Madam Isa Davis, and Ibrahim Njai, Deputy Director, Ministry of Information. If I have not mentioned your name, it's not intentional. Maybe I have not just recognized, I don't know the portfolio, but then senior government officials present, members of the press corps, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with this press conference. We began with the Honorable Minister of Youth, but because he had prior engagements, he had to leave earlier, having delivered a brief speech and answered a few questions from the press corps. So we would now invite the Honorable Minister of Lands to deliver a statement, and thereafter, when he finishes his speech, him and the Minister of Information will take questions. Right? Honorable Minister.
Thank you.